Perspective in terms of what's actually happening on the Korean Peninsula. We are joined in by Bruce Harrison, who's joining us live from Seoul. Now, Bruce, let me begin by asking you this. We all witnessed the visuals that came in yesterday from the joint liaison office that was blown up. The first question that props up in the mind is, why would North Korea want to blow up a joint liaison office, something that was brought into existence in 2018, to build cooperation, for the two sides to in fact sit down and talk, because this appears to be very symbolic, to blow up the joint liaison office. What is North Korea up to?
I think there's two key things North Korea is up to. One, it wants to put pressure on the South Korean government to try and draw concessions out of South Korean President Moon Jae-in. They've chosen a very dramatic way to do that by blowing up this building. But North Korea has said it found this building useless. Talks haven't taken place there since January, when they removed all personnel because of COVID-19. And before that, there wasn't any traction on projects that were supposed to be discussed at this office, cooperation projects on forestry, sports, things like that. So North Korea saw this as a good way to get the South's attention and put pressure on Seoul. They know that President Moon Jae-in has an absolute majority in parliament right now, and they're hoping maybe he'll break with the U.S. He will force through some laws, some bills to give economic relief to North Korea. I think that's North Korea's long game right now. When it comes to the United States, they may also be trying to draw the U.S. back to the negotiating table with such a dramatic move like that by ratcheting up tensions. They haven't made any major military moves yet. The demolition of this building was not a military move. They are now threatening military action, including returning troops to the border. Maybe that will draw the U.S. back into a situation where talks are possible. I think those are the two things North Korea is striving for right now.
Right, and also if you were to look at, some of the statements that have come in, it appears that it is the sister of Kim Jong-un, Kim Yo-jong, who said that she would send troops to the DMZ. I mean, are we looking at a new personality who is emerging in the power corridors of North Korea, which is resulting in some of these actions that we're looking at right now?
I've heard some interesting theories about that. We've seen more and more of Kim Yo-jong since 2018, when she joined the North Korean delegation to the so-called Peace Games, the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyongyang. And in recent weeks and months, she has been more often heard in state media condemning the South, especially over the past few days, really belittling South Korea for these activist activity here, as well as their failure to hold up to commitments under the inter-Korean deals. It's unclear exactly to what rank she will rise within the North Korean government. I've heard some theories from analysts here that they're using Kim Yo-jong as a mouthpiece right now, because if none of this goes well for North Korea, it's not coming from the man himself, Kim Jong-un,
right,
and then they can back down more easily because it's not a decree from the leader himself. But like I said, it's unclear exactly what they're angling for by using Kim Yo-jong in such a powerful position to take these actions, while Kim sits back unclear doing what.
That's an interesting perspective there. And also, how is the South Korean President Moon Jae-in reacting to all of this? Because he's been doing a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to trying to establish more normal relations with his northern neighbor. How is Moon Jae-in looking at this? And also the issue of some of what has been described as these propaganda papers that are being sent across in balloons by some defectors into North Korea. Does South Korea want to crack down on some of that?
Indeed they do. First, I'll explain where Moon may be seeing things right now. He's obviously upset. His government is furious over the destruction of this building, and more so the threats of military action by North Korea. This is all a huge blow. Basically, what North Korea is doing is unraveling all the progress the two sides ostensibly made with the summits in 2018 between Kim and Moon, and then Moon and Trump, or Kim and Trump as well. If they send troops back to these areas, it's going to be devastating for Moon. We're talking about Kaesong Industrial Complex, a joint factory operation, North Korean labor, South Korean capital, always been a site of peace, cooperation, and then the Mount Gumgang Resort on the east coast, where South Korea had hoped to see tourists returning, crossing the border, using that facility. That's all not going to happen now. And if they put troops back in the area, it's certainly not going to happen. It's going to really look bad for Moon. like I said, undoing most of the progress he's made. He has taken action against some of these activist groups. There was police at the border the other day to try and prevent some of these leaflets and anti-North Korea propaganda crossing the border. Moon's government has proposed legislation to block all of this. And just today we heard regarding one of the provinces surrounding Seoul, 5 areas that those activities are no longer going to be able to take place. They're going to police those areas to make sure the activist groups, some including North Korean defectors, are able to carry out their activities, sending balloons, bottles of rice, anti-North Korea propaganda leaflets, USB drives with Western media, U.S. dollar bills as well. Moon wants to put a clampdown on that to see if they can appease North Korea. But North Korea is just storming right through anything Moon has to say right now with its threats and actions.
And also, a lot of people are, in fact, at this point of time, speculating that the reason as to why the North Koreans are increasing the temperature is because they want the United States to, in fact, get back to the negotiating table. The North Korean economy was bad to begin with, but the COVID-19 pandemic has hammered the North Korean economy, and they're looking for concessions from the Americans. What are the Americans saying? Do they want to get back to the negotiating table?
President Donald Trump is highly distracted on domestic issues right now. We haven't heard directly from him regarding the current tensions rising here on the Korean Peninsula. I don't think the Trump administration would be overly keen to get back to the negotiating table at this moment. They had 2 summits between their leaders. They yielded no progress on Kim Jong-un giving up his nuclear weapons. And the Trump government has fallen back on what previous administrations have done, and there's going to be no sanctions relief unless you can give us the proof that you're going to break down that nuclear weapons program and give us some of the weapons that you've already made. I still see that as a stalemate. So North Korea right now may be focusing more of its anger and more of its intentions on the South to see if it can draw concessions there. Ultimately, yes. Until the U.S. relieves sanctions, the economy is going to suffer in the North. But this activity so far, it doesn't appear to be putting Trump on a plane to make any kind of concessions with Kim Jong-un.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Bruce Harrison, for joining us and getting us all those updates in terms of what is happening on the Korean Peninsula.